And thank you for tuning in. I am your host, Priscilla Mack. Rise, shine, and give God the glory. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I want to thank our sponsors for the Good Morning Show, Helping Hands That Feed the Homeless. They will have an event on November 4th at the Marriott in Killeen, and you do not want to miss that. It's going to be a beautiful banquet, very luxurious, and we're going to honor those who volunteer in feeding the homeless. So make sure you check them out. Also, our other sponsor, which is the Queen Esther Debutante, a female mentorship program to help guide our young girls into delicate, wonderful women who are ready to take on the world. So if you want to sponsor them and donate to those causes, you can always contact me, Priscilla Mack, on my Facebook page. And today we have a guest all the way from Austin, Texas. And his name is Danny. Danny, give us your full name, please.
Hi, I'm Danny Matson.
Danny Matson is a photographer and a video game animator. So we have our technology today, but he's going to give us some tips about visuality and how we come forth before the camera, because he sees it all behind the scenes there, don't you, Danny? I'm sure.
Yes, I do have that. I have a good seat in the audience, that's for sure.
Okay. So
I have the zoom lens, so I see up close if I need to.
Yes. Tell us about your journey as a photographer.
Well, I started as I was an artist, and I drew and I paint a lot all through college and everything. Photography was always something I was interested in, and so I probably had the hobby for very many years, and then like later in life, I kind of fell back into it, and I got a really nice camera, and I got into the technology of it, and I really learned the inner workings of it. And my what I enjoy about art is sort of mixing the technology and art, and so I love sort of the technical stuff about the camera, and then I also love the art side of it, and bringing those two things together is sort of a passion of mine.
Okay, what I'm hearing is that you turned your hobby into a business for yourself. Yes,
indeed. Mm-hmm. I've been kind of lucky that I get to do what I enjoy.
Amen. And so some of the things that you do is weddings, portraits, models, and events.
Mm-hmm. And headshots as well. But yes, all those things. Probably primarily focused on weddings.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so what is it that you like about doing the weddings, though?
Well, it's what I love about photography is I love like freezing time and catching someone's spirit in that moment, right? And so weddings offer a lot of potential for that. When they're just emotional, and there's all these moments where somebody might just cry with joy because they're just really enjoying something, or they're hugging the bride, and it's the father, and there's just all these great emotions that are going on, and just being able to document that and capture that and giving those memories to them for the rest of their lives is just something very sort of powerful to me. So I really enjoy that part of it.
And so with your particular photography, and there are so many different styles, some people have the glossy look, and some people have the high definition. Yours looks very real. Like you said, with real time, it looks really real, some type of high definition there.
Oh, well, you might be referring to the sharpness of the photo?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Those are focusing techniques. You want to get your images as sharp as possible, and that's sort of what distinguishes a professional photograph from, say, an iPhone photo or something like that. Is they can be very sharp and clean, and then of course you can really focus on the subject and blow out the background so everything's blurry behind it, and then that's something that the smaller cameras aren't as good at doing. Which that's a big part of my style too. Is I really like to get those soft backgrounds, and the subject is very, very in focus and very sharp, and so the viewer knows exactly what to look at.
I see. Very, very intelligent. So your headshots that you do, because some of our, say we have our pastors and first ladies who need to do or redo, actually, their photography for themselves, how would they be able to get in contact with you?
I have a website, and all my contact information is on there. That's at www.DannyMatsonPhotography.com. And then I also have an email address at dpmatson@gmail.com.
And I want to talk about the importance of visuals, okay? And those who are aspiring to be models, those who are presenting events, it's very important that your visuals are quality, because as we know, it's the law of attraction, quality attracts quality. And it's just a good representation of your business. And a lot of times, Danny, people really don't, I guess they don't think to go for that high quality because they believe that it's extremely expensive for them. What are your thoughts?
Well, I can't argue with them. It's, when I first heard about how much a wedding photographer costs, I thought, well, gee, that sounds like a lot of money. And then when I started doing it, I was like, oh, wow, now I see why it's so expensive. It is an extraordinary amount of work. I will shoot somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 to 3,000 images in a single wedding, and then having to go through all those images and cull them and edit them and do all that is that's a lot of work. So it is expensive. But in the example of a wedding, what the one thing that you're actually going to keep for the rest of your life is your photographs. You might have the dress, but you're never going to put it on again. It's going to sit in the closet. Nobody's going to really enjoy that. You might have a piece of cake in your freezer. But other than that, all you have is your memories, and those photographs will really bring back those memories. There's nothing that'll keep a memory more pure than a photograph. And so, and then when you talk about the other kinds of things like marketing yourself as an actor or as a business, everything's online now, everything's visual. So, it's very important to have a very professional. I mean, you have no idea how much Apple spends on every little, thing that they do on their website. And so, the more professional and the more, I'd say, expensive looking your photographs look, I'd say that certainly gives you a step up.
Okay. And I'll have some of his photography on my page, Priscilla Mack, and it will direct you to his business page. And you'll also get to see his photograph, which is important, I believe, when choosing a photographer, their own photography, their profile picture, okay? You can't have we'll just say it because we're all family here. Well, you can't have a raggedy profile picture and believe that that is going to attract quality clients, because they're going to look at that. And the thing is, I have come across so many people that are doing events or aspiring to be models or wanting portraits, headshots, wanting to do a business. And their business model, their talent, and everything is A quality. It's just that one piece missing. We can't see it. And so this is the way that we can see it. Even if you do like one photo shoot for just a startup a year, then that will be able to take you far. So at least you have enough graphics on your site or wherever need be in order to go forth. And especially with weddings, I mean, that's a no-brainer. You definitely want to invest in the best for your big day.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you talk about weddings, do you also do like behind the scenes, not just the wedding part, but the getting dressed, like the bridal party and the groom?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually do. I keep my weddings low as to how many I do a year because on every wedding I focus a lot on sort of the whole week. I'm more or less thinking about that wedding and planning that wedding. I'm there actually at the rehearsal, and then I'm probably one of the first people that show up on the day, and I'm getting the bride's getting ready, the groom's getting ready, running around and getting shots of like where the reception's going to be when it's all clean and everything's set up, and where the dinner's going to be, and getting all those presentation shots of the grounds and all that kind of stuff, and more or less preparing. So yeah, it's I capture it all from pretty much the start to finish. And now it's getting pretty popular is to do engagement photos and to hire a photographer to actually kind of, hide in the bushes from far away while you're proposing. And when she says yes, to capture all those moments and she doesn't even know you're there. That's a really great thing to do nowadays. It's getting pretty popular.
Okay. And I was going to ask, with the photography, do your customers come to you with their ideas, or do you already have some things set out for, the possibilities? Do you custom make it to each person?
I do. I'm pretty flexible in that way, but I also have my own style. So I think when people see my work, people that like my work essentially are who I attract. Interestingly enough, I'm shooting a wedding this weekend, which is going to be Halloween weekend, and the entire bridal party is going to be dressed up in costume.
Oh, wow.
And they're real big Halloween fans. And so this is a very sort of specialized wedding, right, where it's like the formal shots are probably not going to be, the normal formal, everybody's posed in very, sort of organized way. And we're going to uplight them and make the monsters look scary. And we got hanging chandeliers from the trees. And this big outdoor area with a little forest in the background. And so it's going to be really interesting. I'm very excited to shoot this wedding.
That sounds interesting. I can't wait to see it.
I know. I'm rather excited myself.
So, I know I do some videography myself, and it's one thing when you're filming and you're getting everything, but it's like when you get back in front of the computer and it's time to edit and coordinate everything, that's when you just kind of get carried away and time just escapes. How do you feel about that?
No, that's very true. I'm very into my work, and I can get very lost into things, and I get excited about editing before I even am done selecting, the shots. And there's a very, there's the efficient workflow, and then there's the emotional workflow, and it's a hard balance to strike. But generally, I try and weed all the stuff and go through everything. But when I get home from a wedding, I'm exhausted. Right, I've been shooting for maybe 12 hours. And when you're shooting a wedding, you've got to be on it. You got to catch every moment when it happens, and you got to get your gear together and get to this place, and everything happens very fast. And so I get home and I'm exhausted, right? I'm taking an Epsom salt bath. I'm like, I need to relax, but I'm so excited about the images that those things get on the computer like right away, and I'll start going through them that night, and I'll probably stay up very late into the hours just going through everything, and kind of enjoying the story that I was able to build and pick out the great images and everything. So I enjoy that part. I really like editing, but you're right, it's the biggest time sink. You spend a day shooting a wedding, but you spend a couple of weeks going through editing and tweaking and getting the prints and working on the photo album and all that kind of stuff. So
that was my next question, the turnaround time.
Turnaround time for me?
Mm-hmm.
I contract that it'll take 60 days because if I have a few weddings or a few other events or things going on, I can't turn it around like in a week and a half. Really, it probably takes me to do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually beat that. I try to get them out as fast as I can. I would say it's common that I get them to the client in about a month.
Okay. And so how does one go about, say we have some I know we have some aspiring models in the Queen Esther debutante that I talked about. So how would someone who's aspiring in modeling and acting, what do they need to how do they need to prepare?
Well, the most important thing for an actor, at least one aspiring or becoming one, is you got to have a headshot. And then I think for actors, there's another word for it that I can't think about the top of my head, but there's like a headshot on the front page, and on the back page there might be like 3 or 4 other shots of them, being maybe acting, maybe dressed up, maybe being natural and roller skating or doing something like that, just to show sort of a little bit of their personality. But that, I don't think, I think that's like the first part of every audition, is to get that into the casting agent. So the headshot really is probably the biggest thing.
Okay. Now,
I mean, other than the acting ability, of course.
Correct. Yes. So, okay, and I'm going to break down each category so we can all know how to be prepared for each one. So we went over the weddings and the models. Headshots. How does one prepare for their headshot for business purposes? Because most of our audience, our listeners are, the Christian community. And so we have our first ladies and pastors, and then we have our business owners, people in the corporate world that need to update their LinkedIn, just different kind of things, professional headshots for any particular reason. What would they need?
There's really not a lot of preparation involved. You want to be, you probably want to eat healthy that day, be in good spirits that day, and not be stressed. And so go early to your appointments and all that kind of stuff. And just, you want to be feeling good, and you want to be comfortable with the photographer. When you should probably talk and meet with the photographer before you pick who is actually going to do that for you. Because the more comfortable you are with the photographer, the better the photos are going to come out. But as far as a headshot, you want to wear something that's not too busy for your top. You're going to get a little bit of the shirt in there or the top, and so you don't want any super bright colors or super busy patterns. You don't want anything distracting because your face is the subject. And so you usually don't want white. So usually something that's a solid and that's sort of a neutral or medium toned color is a good way to go. But mostly the photographer handles everything else. And usually when we're working on a headshot, we're getting you comfortable, and we're taking the first few shots and we're talking. And it's mostly about trying to get your personality out. And so we get a little bit of personality out. We get you feeling comfortable in front of the camera. And a lot of sort of getting the good shot happens when you're here.
I like what you said about the busy colors. I know in television we're taught to not wear patterns in front of the camera. Solid colors come through best. And like you said, having a good day, because with your headshot, it's going to be all up in your face, so your emotions are going to come through in your eyes. You'll have a beautiful picture, but you don't want to look crazy, so make sure that you take a woosah, get to know your photographer, so that the photographer can be able to capture those glimpses of you, the best of you as well. Now, one of my things, and we have a lot of women listeners here, and you're a male. So when you have a male photographer, I like for my hair to be in place. I don't, in women's clothing, a tag sticking up, and the way that we're shaped if the shirt is leaned to the side. Are those some things that you pay attention to the detail of?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I was a life drawing artist for many, many years, where I would draw people all the time, and you're looking for all those kinds of details. And so, attention to detail is probably one of the most important things when it comes to that kind of stuff. Otherwise, you got to spend a lot of time in front of Photoshop, trying to clean it out or cut it out. So I'm always looking for sort of like making sure I'm not cutting off hands, or making sure the hands are posed right, or making sure there's not the weird wrinkle or a weird hair out of place that you're not noticing. And so I'll commonly, come back to the model and say, fix your hair in the back a little bit and kind of shake it out, or pull your shirt tight, or put your weight on your back foot, everything to make you look as the best that I can make you look.
Okay.
But usually those details are, I would say, the smaller, the less of my worry. More I want to really get your personality out and get what comes out of your face, and the emotion and the character of you is really what I want to capture. And I'm not too worried about the subtleties, but at the same time, I make sure that there's nothing, distracting or nothing jumping out at me.
Okay, and so let's talk about events and how a person should prepare with their events when you go in. Because I know sometimes I've gone and you have to try to talk to the person who's coordinating it, but they're already busy. So how do you go about making sure that you capture the events that the person needs in order for there are certain shots that have to be taken for certain events so that the story could be told properly?
Yeah, most events, they kind of unfold naturally, so they're not giving me too much direction there. But usually what I do is, I get as much information before the event as I can, and if I can walk through the event space before the event, that's really helpful too. There's several times where a photographer has to show up to something that he has no idea what he's going to walk into, and so he has to bring all the lights and the flashes and be prepared for anything. But the more prepared you can be ahead of time, the better. So I'd like to get to the space maybe a day or two before and kind of see what they're shooting, what the situation is, and as well as get all the information from them on what's important to get. Usually, it's capturing sort of kind of everything. You want to capture the people having a good time, and you want to capture whether they have music there or they have, really anything. Fashion show, you want to make sure you got the times right, and you're going to have your lighting equipment there at the right time and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I guess that's all I got on that one.
And so with the weddings and the portraits and branding, it looks like, this service could be used on multiple levels. So though everyone can't wait to see your work, how clean and clear it is. And then, again, you all will get to see Mr. Danny, Brother Danny, because this is a Christian, so we're going to turn you into Brother Danny today. Okay?
Awesome. I love it.
And he is going to be on the Priscilla Back page, and once again, you'll see his photography and his work there, and we'll keep in touch with him. Again, go ahead and reach out. You travel. Do you travel with your photography?
I don't do a lot of traveling yet. I used to do travel photography as a hobby, but I've learned I really enjoy shooting people. And so, if there's a wedding that's offsite, that's out of state, I'm happy to travel and do that. But that's sort of a rare thing. But yeah, I've come to just really love shooting people, and that's my main focus. So I don't do too much travel photography anymore. One of my favorite things in the world, I love to see the joy in someone's face when they see their photography, their finished product. It could be kind of an emotional moment for them, and they may cry. It just makes me feel really good that I brought them that happiness. Singers often say that, they sing or write music because they want to touch people. And sometimes as a photographer, I can actually do that, where I bring joy to somebody, and when they see their photography, they're just so happy. And that's probably my main motivation out of everything.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You gave us some great tips about how to approach, how to show up, and where to find you, and all the details of what would take place in creating visuals for ourselves to have outstanding memories and events. And we definitely appreciate you, Danny, very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I want to thank you for inviting me to your program and having me come on your show. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Yes, wonderful. All right. You all have heard it right here from Brother Danny. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I am your host, Priscilla Mack. Take care. Bye.
Have a blessed evening.